Now that we have the tool length qualified, we can go ahead and set axis positions using an edge finder to accurately locate the workpiece. One of the things that I would stress is that the order that you do this is not particularly important. Oftentimes we will set the axis positions for the X and Y 0 prior to qualifying the tools. However, it is possible to qualify the tool lengths first if you have all the tools in the machine. Now, in order to get the empty edge finder in, I notice that it is in pocket number 5 in the machine tool. So we're going to go to our MDI mode. We select this MDI DNC. Over here I notice it's got T1M6, which is the command for loading this particular tool and the spindle that's in there right now. I'm going to press the T5, and one of the things unique about the HAAS machine that's different than any of the Fanuc controlled machines or most of the other CNCs out there, in the MDI mode on most machine tools, once the command is executed, it clears off the CRT and out of the machine memory, and it's like it never existed. This particular machine continues to carry the command line in the memory and displayed on the CRT. I've have an input down here of T5. Just like in editing a regular program, if I press the Alt key, it will change the T word in the command line that's being displayed to the T5 that I need to get in the spindle at this point. Once that is done, we simply close the door and press cycle start. Now that I have my empty Jacobs chuck in the collet, I will go ahead and install the edge finder in the chuck. This is a 200 thousandths diameter edge finder, so that means the distance from the center line of the edge finder out is going to be 100 thousandths of an inch. I'll use the Jacobs chuck key to secure that so it doesn't slip. It does not have to be overly tight, you just want it secure enough that it's not going to slip while it's in the spindle. The next step is to turn the spindle on. If I press, I'm still in the MDI mode, if I press the delete key, it's going to take away the commands that appear in the MDI line. Now I'm going to give it a command of S750 for spindle speed of 750 RPM and an M03 for spindle on clockwise. When I press the right enter button, that command appears on my MDI screen. At this point, again, I close the door and cycle start. I now have my spindle running at 750 RPM. I now switch to my hand jog mode, and with it in the hand jog mode, I select the axis I want to move. In this case, if we're trying to set the x-axis at the edge of the part, I can press my X and move in a negative direction, and it moves the slide. It'll move the slide to the X position. Now I'm going to go ahead and come down to Z. One caution when you are moving, if you are in the 10 thousandths per increment on the dial and you start moving that handle really fast, you can over travel so that you're inputting more of a command for distance of move than what the machine is actually able to keep up with, so that when you stop turning the handle, if I do this really fast, there will be a considerable amount of travel that will take place on the machine before it actually satisfies all of the command and move lines. So it's real careful that you need to be real careful that you don't get too heavy on the hand wheel and come too close to the part to stop. You may actually run into the part if you do that. I'm now going to select my x-axis again. I'm going to move in a positive direction. I get it up close, and I'm going to change my jog increment again to 1,000. I'm going to drop down just a little bit in Z. Make sure I have good engagement against that machine surface. Now when I press my x-axis jog, I start coming in to touch the workpiece, and I look for proper alignment of the edge finder against the workpiece. Now it just kicked off with that 1,000 moves. That's just about exactly where I want to be. At this point, I'm going to press the pin spindle stop button. That stops the spindle. I no longer need to have the spindle running with that tool just sitting there rubbing against the workpiece. Now, with the spindle off, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press the Z up button, and I'm going to jog Z up just to get it clear of the surface. Notice I have not moved in the x-axis. I'm going to go back to my offset page, and instead of looking at tool offsets, what I want to look at is my workpiece offsets. So when I press offset again, I'm going to come down to, we'll pick for example a G56 coordinate offset. It has the x-axis position highlighted. In order to find the x-axis position for this particular part, I'm going to go ahead and press the Part 0 Set button. When I do that, the x-axis position is automatically loaded into the x-axis position for that G56 coordinate system. Now, one of the things that happens with this machine and with any of the machines is the actual center line of the spindle is 100 thousandths to the x negative position. So we would need to adjust this axis position by 100 thousandths in order to get it so it's perfectly on the edge of the workpiece. The HAAS controller is kind of cool in the way that it does this, in that all I need to do is go in and press 0.100, which shows my input here, and when I press the right button, you'll notice that this is going to update the coordinate position to minus 11.220 from the minus 11.320 that was there a minute ago. So what that does is it allows me to compensate for the thickness of my edge finder in a very simple manner, which is kind of nice. You don't have to do the math yourself, the machine will actually do the math for you. What is required is you do need to think about which side and where you have to move as to whether it's positive or negative value that you put in for the edge finder compensation. In order to set the y-axis position for this coordinate system, what I would do is turn my spindle back on. My edge finder is running out. I go back. I'm going to switch to my increment to 10 thousandths. I'm going to go X. I'm on the Z, so I'm going to go to my X axis. I'm going to come over. I'm going to go to my Y axis. I'll move the Y axis down here. I'm going to bring my Z down. I'm going to slow my increment. Now I'm going to go back to my Y. As I start getting closer to the workpiece, I notice I've got to bring Z down just a little bit more. So we come down in Z. Now we go back to Y, and I'm going to move Y positive. Again, I look for it to come in to the point where it starts getting the edge finder running very close to being perfectly up and down. by we went in 1,000th increments right to the point where it kicked off. I'll stop the edge finder. Now I make sure that I move my cursor over to the Y-axis position. Again, I press my part 0 set. It automatically loads the position in there for the center line of the spindle. Now I'm going to move my Z up just to get it clear of my workpiece. And I think about this, I actually need to be Z plus or Y plus 0.100 thousandths to have the center line of the spindle exactly over the edge of the part. Again, because I've got to go to the Y plus direction, I go 0.100 and write enter, and it updates my axis position by 100 thousandths. So now, if I go to the G54 coordinate position at X0, Y0, and we'll do that. We're going to show you how to verify. I'll just move my axis up. I'm going to go back to my MDI mode. We'll clear those words out. Now we're going to do a G00 for rapid, G90 for absolute mode, G56 for the coordinate system we just set, X0, Y0. Input, I make sure everything's up there. I've got G0, G90, G56, X0, Y0. Close the door and cycle start. Now if I want to verify that, I go back to my hand jock mode, select my Z axis, and I bring my edge finder down, and if I look at that, the edge finder is, if it was running perfectly true, it would be right over that corner of the workpiece so that it would be set exactly where I want it set.